This is a super bright flashlight with a seatbelt cutter, an emergency hammer.
It's got emergency flashers and you can hang it on virtually any metal surface.
It's got an emergency siren. A compass. It's a power bank where you can charge your cell phone from 0 to 100%. And you never need batteries because it's powered by the sun or with an electrical outlet. My link and code for your massive discount is in the description below.
We've had a lot of cases where we were seeding storms that had no business being seeded. We were just kind of throwing darts, and we were seeing responses to some of those. So we are learning that maybe there's more opportunity with some of these. Maybe we don't even need to have a rain cloud. We could go work cumulocongested clouds that aren't really precipitating yet. And if it has inflow, maybe we could get something to work. Year one, we had the air tractor that the USDA provided, so dosaging was a lot better. We were getting about 40 to 45 gallons per cloud.
New numbers emerging that show the sad and terrible toll of Australia's wildfire crisis. A professor at the University of Sydney estimates nearly 500 million animals have been killed by the bushfires that have torched 3 million hectares of New South Wales alone.
Another question on the in an interview with the Los Angeles Times on April 21st, you said that you told the Associated Press that the American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and to control the rest.
In a statement regarding how he reached the massive figure, Professor Chris Dickman explains it was founded on a report he co-wrote in 2007 for the World Wild Fund for Nature. It studied the impacts of land clearing on the state's wildlife and obtained estimates on the population density of mammals in the state. He's now multiplied that by the amount of land hit by the fires. While the number is just an estimate, the statement says many of the affected animals are likely to have been killed directly by the fires, with others succumbing later because of a lack of food or shelter.
When speaking of weather modification and weather warfare, calling somebody a conspiracy theorist is a surefire way to reveal yourself as somebody who can't logically oppose a critical thinker. The government admitted to being able to control the weather over 5 decades ago. Most people who've done at least 5 minutes of research know about Operation Popeye, where they used geoengineering as a weather weapon in Vietnam to lengthen the monsoon season, destabilize the enemy, and manipulate circumstances more favorably to the United States. Even Harvard weather manipulators admit that they want to wrap the Earth in a sulfur dioxide blanket in an attempt to cool the Earth and stop global warming. Here's the propaganda coming out of RT.
You notice what happens when you leave your car parked outside on a sunny day with the windows all the way up, right? Even if it's not that hot outside, the temperature inside your car goes way up compared to the surrounding climate outside of your car. That's essentially the greenhouse effect. You know about it, right? You learned about it in 5th grade. The heat easily gets in, but it can't get out, which is essentially what's happening to our planet right now. So what do people do? Well, they get thicker windows or they add a dark film to their car, right? Same goes for our bodies. We try and prevent sunburn by wearing sunblock so the sun can't really get in and do damage. Well, think about this. What if we could come up with something like that for our Earth's ozone layer? With more on that concept, news with Rick Sanchez correspondent Michelle Greenstein.
So right off the bat, it sounds like a bad idea that's going to dramatically diminish the food supply. When you start blocking out the sun, you take away a major component of photosynthesis. Less light equals less plants, and less plants don't only mean less food, it means less oxygen producers. These people attempting to play God aren't thinking this through. Or are they?
He's here to tell us about this. Okay, so it's a new concept. Sounds like the way I described it. What is it?
To say this is a new concept is just flat out wrong. This concept has been around for a long time.
So this proposal is to use solar geoengineering to reduce temperatures. In essence, it's a way to mitigate some of the risks that climate scientists are saying will come from CO2 emissions. So in essence, it's actually an alternative to lowering carbon emissions. And some see it as a magic bullet in this way, where we can curb the effects of CO2 emissions while continuing to pump millions of tons of CO2 into the air.
But the way I described it was we need to come up with something that blocks all this from getting in. Is this, how are they going to block it?
Exactly. Yes, it is.
Just to be clear, they're talking about artificially blocking out the sun. What could possibly go wrong?
So this type of geoengineering uses sulfur dioxide. We're going to inject that into the stratosphere. Sulfur dioxide is the stuff that comes out of volcanoes when they erupt. So when a volcano erupts, there's actually a lot of dust and gases that blot out the sun. So these Harvard researchers, these scientists are saying that we can mimic what happens after a volcano eruption to reduce temperatures. And the way they're going to do that is airplanes. They say a fleet of specially designed aircrafts can literally spray sulfur particles into the lower stratosphere, and they're saying, hey, dozens of nations already have the money to do so.
What a great idea. Let's stop climate change by changing the climate by polluting the atmosphere. What a great idea.
Wait a minute. What you just described is a way of slowing down, if not preventing, global warming?
Yeah, I mean, let's not mince any words. What we're proposing here is launching aerosols into the air. So historically, there's been a problem with this.
A problem dispersing aerosols into the air? Yeah, I'd say that's a huge problem.
Critics of this type of geoengineering say, look, no one really knows how to control it with accuracy. This could easily disrupt climates around the world, inevitably leading to winners and losers, with some regions suffering greater harm. But now these researchers are saying it can work without some of those anticipated side effects like extreme rain and hurricanes. They're saying that this work challenges that assumption.
Won't they make it darker? Won't it be like night all the time?
Yeah, and that's the question. Do we have the right to a blue sky?
No, it's that these people don't have the right to play God and make things worse by spraying poisons into the air that will destroy plant life, reduce the food supply, and eradicate the natural green oxygen producers on the planet. These people are psychopaths, and RT is promoting them.
That's a great question.
That should be a public debate.
What about, finally, I think we're down to like 30 seconds
Sure.
or so, but tell me, how much is this going to cost?
Okay, so these researchers say it'll cost $3.5 billion to launch and then $2.25 billion every year after that.
Wouldn't that be worth it if it's actually able to slow down global warming?
I mean, true, but do we want to put that kind of power in certain hands? That's all, up for public debate. And, some people are saying, hey, maybe it's cheaper to just bioengineer humans. So that we have a conscience, that we stop polluting so much.
Fascinating conversation. I'm glad you brought that to us. That's really good news.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great news that a bunch of hyper-privileged Harvard maniacs want to pollute the atmosphere and destroy the planet in the name of saving the planet. And while massive devastation, death, and destruction ensues in Australia, there's at least one company that has a proven track record that they can put a stop to the fires down under. But nobody's calling on them to employ their technology. I wonder why.
We can bring in the oceanic rain, and we need to be conscious it's not about delivering rain on land, it's about nurturing a rain system that can promote agriculture and protect the people involved. So in all cases we want to make sure we don't get flooding, but we can deliver timely rain in a gentle soaking manner into agricultural targets. Technology relies on a signal that we're able to generate that triggers a response from atmospheric patterns. So we're able to observe this using satellite meteorology, extensively available now to everyone who's got access to broadband internet. But we're able to utilize that signal set in sequence to generate a incremental deviation in the flow path of these oceanic atmospheric rivers. So the source is the ocean, of course. The vapor precipitable moisture flow is in the atmosphere. The winds drive this with the pressure systems adjusting the path of least resistance. But our technology is able to interface that and hack into it, if you like, and make some micro adjustments to allow deviations to occur in the flow pathways. And this is how we broke the drought in Australia in 2005. This is how we put out the fires of Victoria from Black Saturday in 2009. This is how we delivered rain in the desert in Saudi Arabia in 2007 and snow for the first time in history in 2004 in the United Arab Emirates. There's been other projects above the radar and some under the radar, but today, for the first time, we're putting our hand up in front of the media to say this is available. We're going to run this project here to break the drought in the Horn of Africa. We're meeting with Cabinet, Federal Cabinet for Kenya and the Prime Minister and other parties and authorities in the region. We've met extensively with United Nations teams and agencies, and we're planning to do this in the most careful manner. Firstly, to bring some gentle rain in to give food for the food for the cattle and the livestock, so milk can be produced, so the human survivability can go up. Once that survivability's gone up, then we can look at more substantial rains that can be suitable for crop.
What is this technology?
Essentially, we're drawing oceanic rain systems that exist over the oceans into geographic targets, into our agricultural areas. The technology uses electromagnetics, so we're not interfering with the atmosphere or with the environment. We're not damaging it. We're not using chemicals fired through rockets like other technologies use. We use a very gentle but powerful technology, launching electromagnetics into the atmosphere to modify the flow of the weather system over the ocean and drawing it into a target.
And you know that this is not the only company that has this capability and technology, but they're not using it. The Australian government has decided to let Australia burn. They've decided to let hundreds of millions of animals die. And they've decided that instead of calling in the waters from the oceans, we'll just destroy millions of acres as we kill people and drive them from their homes. Special thanks to Mike Morales over on his channel for bringing all this stuff out into the public. Please like and share this video with everybody you know everywhere you can on social media. And leave your thoughts about this for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.